Hi, this is Michael Bean. I'm an acting teacher. I've been teaching for almost 20 years. This is your free lesson for myfreeactingclass.com for Tuesday, April the 27th, almost all the way to May. Month number, what, 13 of my free acting class? So, man, those of you who've been around since the beginning, like, oh, respect. And thanks to those of you who keep watching these lessons at home and submitting your tapes for us to watch. So today is self-tape review. So to start with, just like super quick, it'll be super familiar, so you can just talk amongst yourselves for a moment. The frame is what the camera sees. The frame I am in right now is a medium close-up. So if I was to go all the way back here so that you can see down to my waist, this would be a medium shot, right? So medium shot, ta-da, medium close-up. Now, headroom is when you strangely give yourself space on top of your head, which you can see right now, it looks odd. So one of the easiest mistakes to make when you're setting up your self-tape at home, never have your phone vertical, always have it horizontal, like so. Don't give yourself headroom, shunk. Trim it down like that. What you want is eye light, light reflected in your eyes. It makes so much of a bigger difference than you think. I can really make it stark for us here by turning this off. I just have to run over there and do that. And then I will literally be in the dark. Oh, interesting. Wow, I am getting highlight. Oh, I'm getting it from my computer monitor. But if I go back here, it's like, I've been expecting you. Right, like deep, dark, dramatic, not what you want for your scenes. Absolutely not. So that is the eye light. Eye line is the magical line between your eyes and what you are looking at right now. I have put the person I'm talking to directly underneath my camera. So I'm looking at somebody, but it feels like I'm looking right at you because there is only a few centimeters between my eyeballs and the camera. But you don't want that if you're doing a self-tape for an audition. You want to basically get out of full screen if you're using Zoom, or if you're just using your phone. Just what I do when I'm recording with my phone, if I have it facing me, is I'll just look at the record button. So it's like the camera's on one side, the record button's on the other side. That's what I'm looking at. If I'm in Zoom, then I will just get out of full screen, make it small, drag it off to one side, boom. So now I'm looking, it's just a few centimeters over from the camera, but now it's gonna look like, hey, I'm just talking to a person who's here beside me and not like I'm looking right at you at home talking. So that's eye line, okay? Frame, eye light, eye line, medium close up, neutral background. Obviously, I am in my studio here in Vancouver for one of the very last times because we're packing it up. Because in the world of self tapes are happening at home, and so I will keep you all posted about developments there. But wish me luck for all of the packing up. Hi, Emerson. I think this might be my first time seeing you here. Thanks for joining us. And let's start looking to some self-tapes. Now, I will say, we've got Emerson, and Christina. There's one of the self-tapes that was submitted this week that has some spicy language. So if I will do my best to like mute out, it's mostly like the reader saying spicy things, and if I miss one, it's really, you're going to get lots worse on primetime television. So hopefully you'll be okay. But I will give you the content warning again when we get there. Let's start looking at self-tapes. So first we've got Candy. This is Candy's tape for this month's practice scene. Those of you who are interested in material, if you're like, oh, I don't have anything to work on, come back next week because the first Wednesday of the month, so next Wednesday, May the 5th, I will be going over that month's practice scenes. And this time I'm going to be giving you a range of scenes to choose from, so you can choose something that's appropriate, specific for your age. And I'll be breaking down a practice scene in front of everybody. So for this month's practice scene, which is from a project TV movie, I believe, called Beneath. Am I remembering that right? And let's take a look. So first up, let's just go a moment. And where do we see her eyeballs?
Why do we celebrate them dying?
There. So we've got eyelight, you can see that she's got a ring light, that there's a distinctive ring around the pupils. So well lit, neutral background. She's in a medium close-up, top of her head down to just below her armpits. Does it matter that her hairdo is cut off slightly? No, it really doesn't. Not in my opinion, and I think that is borne out by the folks who watch tapes a lot. She's in the middle. She's even given herself a little bit of nose room, like a little bit of room on the side of the person she's talking to. Not a lot, but there's but if there was this big space behind her instead of in front of her, you wouldn't necessarily know why unless I had told you, but you'd be like, something's slightly off about it, right? Like if I'm right, so if I drag you over to the side, so I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to you over there, and for some reason I'm talking to you like this, right? Even that much off center with this space behind me, it looks sort of strange. So I want to put it back to the center, bump, and going back to Candy's tape, voila.
We're not celebrating, we're honoring them. It's our responsibility.
Mom and Dad don't even know we're doing it.
And now Candy, in her email to me, was like, I know I've got the smile, at the beginning of it, and I think that for the purpose of exploration, having a strong feeling or opinion about the parents, and about this ritual, of praying at their grave, is what I recommended. I don't think that there's anything wrong with the smile here, with having this strong feeling or opinion. So interestingly, I think the things that make us self-conscious watching our work are very rarely the things that pop for other people. So Candy, I just want to reflect that back to you. And hopefully everybody else sees themselves in that. We're like, oh, I know what the thing that bothers me about my tapes is, but probably that's not what other people are noticing.
Happy birthday.
You too.
Right, so there's so much like genuine delight here, and we're seeing that in the connection. These two are supposed to be sisters. They share a birthday, even though Candy is the older sister. And so the again, strong feeling or opinion about the sister, that relationship, nice and clear, coming through nice and strong. Now, I suspect it's because Candy and Christina have also been coming to this class for a very long time. It was fun for them to do the scene together, but that reads as character, which is so beautiful. So you think about that when you're choosing who to have for your reader. This idea that whatever you're actually feeling will be experienced usually by the people watching the tape as part of what's going on for your character.
I didn't get you anything.
That's not shocking. Open it.
But this is yours.
Mom gave it to me when I was 14, and now I'm giving it to you.
Let me have it.
Yeah, right.
That was you drive when you were my age.
If we get pulled over by the cops, I'm telling them you kidnapped me.
Good, and right there's that moment after of like seeing the girl be all seeing your sister be all excited about it. So this moment here, I just want to highlight because it's the one moment where you're sort of breaking out of this sort of like very direct address, and I just want you to see it again. Not only is that not too much, but that kind of reaction, that's what makes the work really alive. So Candy, I think you have a great foundation here of being believable. Obviously your camera setup's really solid. I just want to really highlight that reaction, to give you more permission to move. Movement on camera is only a problem if it is repetitive, right? So if I move like this, not a problem. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling a thing and it takes me in a direction. I'm in my body. Great. Because otherwise I'm here and I'm basically shutting off my body in order to try and act with only my face. And it's pretty quickly, it starts to feel weird. And I think actors do that all the time. Where that behavior of like, okay, shut everything down, keep everything perfectly still typically comes from is kind of early acting classes where they say stillness, 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 stillness. And that's really because actors, when they first start, will often do repetitive motion. Right? So if I'm doing this over and over again and I don't notice, it actually is a micro movement, like it's tiny little movement, but you can see it's a huge movement for you watching. You're going to get seasick if I do this over and over again. So I'm not seeing repetitive movement, Candy, and I would love to give yourself more permission to move. If you were present or if you watched the lesson from last Tuesday where I talked about physical behavior, it might be worth thinking about some of those things as well. Basically, how do you take what the character is feeling, because you have these nice, strong, clear choices about those relationships now, and now how do you play with bringing those into the scene by finding like what are you doing in the space. And then in just practical terms, I would make sure if you've got two different things that you have a very different relationship with, i.e. your sister, your parents' graves, put them on opposite sides of the camera. And this is really important when you're setting up your scene. If you have if you have your mom and your dad, then you have the one relationship with them, and then you have the warrant officer, put them on opposite sides of the camera, because it might be the same distance for you, but for the people watching, my eyes go to this side of the screen, I can have one relationship, and if my eyes go over here and I have a different relationship over there, same distance for me, super crystal clear for the people watching. Oh, two different people, two different relationships. Whereas if I try and have two different relationships, one with somebody there and one with somebody just there, and I'm like, I love you, I'm scared of, and I just like it starts to get confusing for people, right? And it's actually the same distance for me, the actor. But just be smart about it and place it on opposite sides of the camera if you can. And in this case, because the parent's grave is like not right, mostly the scene is with the sister, you can put the parent's grave quite a bit off the side, right? Like the right, start here. Okay, I'm going to turn to you. I'm going to put the flower on the grave, right? Like you can give yourself physical behavior here without, I think, it getting weird, but just like put yourself in the place doing the thing. And I think that's the next step. I don't think that that's, a problem with your tape. It's like, okay, cool. Now what? Like, now what do we add? Right? Like your work is believable. You're starting to make those really strong, clear choices about feeling and opinion. Now what? That's my suggestion for the now what. Is like, now let's bring you into place. With some of that behavior. And I think that what we saw from that reaction, where it was probably the piece of the scene where you looked the most at ease, because you got to right, it was expressive, it was at ease, so I think it might even make it feel more fun to you. So my suggestion is that we play with that. All right, next self-tape. Let's look at Natalia, who is our Russian friend who continues to go out for secret agents all over the place. Incidentally, Natalia sent me an email saying, hey, I've had a dozen auditions in the last year and I haven't booked anything. Does that mean like I should be grateful for that many opportunities, in COVID times, or does that mean that like these are terrible odds I should give up? And I think that this is a completely normal question, and it's just really worth bringing in here that if casting directors continue to call you back, then then you are doing enough right, because they literally have no incentive to waste their time. Right? Every time they send out hey, we need a Russian agent, for our thing, they're getting more submissions than they can say yes to. And so if they are saying yes to you, and especially if the same casting director says yes to you more than once, then you didn't waste their time the first time. And they're like, yeah, there's something interesting here, even if it's not quite what we're looking for this time, or even if it's like this person is still newer. I also can say that I know very, very skilled, experienced actors who have auditioned for several years, like 50 auditions, 100 auditions without booking anything. I also know actors who went out and booked their very first thing. Right, it is not something that is within our control, and so it is not a good place to benchmark. If casting continues to call you in, well, then you're doing enough right that you are a viable choice. And at this point, like that's the feedback from the world that you need. Like look for like, okay, are they seeing my stuff? Okay. And then put your attention on like, can you love the process? Which Natalia's doing. She was like, I did this 21-day challenge and I've been doing the self-tape every day and it's like changing my whole way of doing things. So I haven't had a chance to watch these yet. I'm very excited to watch these. Here we go.
What is this?
Это центр обеспечения информацией британской телекомпании OpenReach в Лондоне. Интернет-связь по всей Великобритании.
Right. So I asked her to come in with faster pace, with stronger opinion to change the eyeline, for the monitor that they're looking at. You can see that she's made all of those changes here. It's much more clear right off the top.
Контролируется OpenReach и другой телекомпанией. Virgin Media.
Nice, right? Look at how much strong feeling or opinion there is in there. I think the next piece of it is just continuing to add detail. Right? This is a strong improvement, Natalia. Like, I really appreciate that you took the notes and that you're playing with it. And I think I can. The fact that you're enjoying doing this, that the setup is getting easier, that you chose for yourself to do I'm going to do a self-tape every day for 21 days. Just such a great move in terms of supporting your own love of the process by just getting yourself over that initial hurdle of it's inconvenient. Once you're in the zone, basically once you get familiarity with doing that work, it gets a lot easier to play.
What is this?
Это центр обеспечения безопасности британской телекомпании OpenReach в Лондоне. Интернет-связь по всей Великобритании. Контролируется OpenReach, еще одной телекомпании. Virgin Media.
Good. So that was a different take of the same scene. And what I would say there, is that the differences there are so subtle that you would not want to send both of those takes, Natalia. I'm sure you can see the difference. I can see the difference. Really, the sort of look up. Maybe the one we watched before was somewhat more intense. Very, very, very similar. I think that you would the next thing to play with would be strong feeling or opinion about the person you're talking to. Something that almost always brings scenes alive when I'm working them in class or if I'm helping somebody prep an audition is what do you want the person you're talking to do or feel? And I don't know what you want the person to do or feel right now. I would have trouble putting words to that. I get the feeling that you are very professional at the pace. I think made a big difference. The eyeline made a big difference. And then, of course, because this is my job, I'd be like, cool, okay, now the next thing. And the next thing, is what is your strong feeling or opinion about Virgin Media? Are you yeah, we got them? Or you're oh, we're gonna crush those guys? What is your strong feeling opinion about the person you're talking to? And then what do you want to make them do or feel? And would that be harder to act? Of course it would. That's what makes it more interesting to watch. But you're oh man, I can layer all this stuff in. Yep. And it's not a perfectly consistent process, which I hope you are seeing from anybody who watched last week's tape. Highly recommend you go back and watch that if you haven't. You can see basically Dia submitted a tape that I got to say nah, there's 18 things that you could try. And she's yep. And it got me a call back. And it was yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Right? There's always things that we can keep playing with and do better. And really, it is not about perfection. It is just about can we stay curious about exploring this as much as possible? I'm getting lost in enthusing, and we have so many tapes to watch. So here we go. Let's look at. Okay. Let's look at. Oh, I don't know what's happening here. One moment, folks. Okay, let's look at Dia's self-tapes. So here is the fabulous myfreeactingclass.com page. If you go here and you just scroll down, you will see Mondays, Straight Talk and Industry with Leanne Lapp. Tuesdays, Camera Skills and Self-Tapes with Michael Bean. That's where we are right now. Email your self-tapes to, hey, here's the email address. Just click here and you will be able to send email. And if you're but I don't have anything to practice. Well, I'm so glad you asked. This month's practice script you could download by just clicking right there. Come back tomorrow. We'll be talking acting skills. And that's where we have special guests when I can arrange special guests and I'm not in the middle of packing up studios. Now here we've got a couple of tapes from Dia. And so here's one from that she did for her agent or manager from Pretty Little Liars.
You think telling the truth is what? A shiny disco ball of purity? Go ahead. Try it. Be honest. See where it gets you. Telling the truth to the wrong person at the wrong time is how I ended up where I am. Take it from me. You're always better off with a really good lie.
And so interesting watching you try this on, especially given the next tape that I'm going to show you of Dia's. So, here's Dia being a character who's much fancier, and so this one, I feel like Dia is stretching herself. And I think that that's something that's important for actors to be like, yeah, you know what? Let me find my way into this character. I got to say, Dia, that like it's not just the like shiny, sparkly D on your necklace, but like you just look kind of fancy, to be this character right now, and so thinking about like, okay, great, so how do we how do we just take advantage of that, or take advantage of the fact that people who don't know you like me or might look at your face and go kind of fancy, right? So do you need to put on like lots of dark eyeliner, to play a character like this? Like right, do we need something that sort of like right, do you need to like tie your hair back, or like have a hoodie that, or right, right, to pull up, or do you go right into that? Do you go like, okay, fine, people are going to see that, fine, I'm just going to like, I'm going to wear black, I'm not going to try and like be street with this, but instead I'm going to go for the pain of the character, which I think was the direction that you were going. And my impulse here, is that is to personalize it, is to basically reveal more of yourself inside of it. Because at the beginning, I believe that you had a strong, clear choice, but it's not quite communicating. Like, it doesn't feel alive in you. It's like the pacing is very slow. There's some of those extended vowels. And I don't know, sort of what put you in that spot here. But just know that like that making the choice is such a solid place to start, and that I absolutely believe that you could sort of find a really authentic way into this character, and for me, this one comes across as like as a stretch, So this is the kind of thing that the like totally right for acting class, but you might not want to. Like you probably wouldn't want to put attached to like a public profile, as a demo scene, in my opinion. Here. Now let's watch this. This is for an ABC showcase. Dia chose a multicam sitcom script.
So, where do you want to go for dinner?
Oh no, I'm not having this argument again.
Okay. Okay, I know why he would say that. I do have a history of asking you where you want to go, only to then be told your choices until we end up going where I want to go. But I'm trying to grow, and I'm ready to show my growth by making it safe for you to say exactly where you want to go.
Right, like, so the relationship here is so alive with the person she's talking to. The what contributed to that? I'm super curious. Like, if we had more time to talk to Dia, I would be like, cool. What was it? The person who you were actually reading with? Was something about sort of how you framed the scene? Did it just like make more intuitive sense to you? Was it the character made more sense? And obviously Dia got to choose from a couple of different scripts, and she chose one that was really alive for her. So maybe that's enough to make a difference. Oh, I will say, and I forgot to do this with Natalia's tape, but like clean backdrop. Here we go, head and shoulders, medium close up. We've got enough of an eyelight. Yes, there's the shadow on the side of her face. Is it enough to make it not a usable tape? Clearly not. Like, however, if she was to get more forward-facing lighting, and kind of fill this out so we didn't get the shadow under her chin, would she look even better on camera? Probably. They'd be like, ooh, yeah. generally speaking, lighting makes you look pretty, and or extra pretty, and people, it's sort of a way of manipulating people's impression without them necessarily noticing. So very alive. Now, let me see if I can find the start of the second take of this scene, because she sent us 2 takes of it,
History of asking you where.
and so that I can show you
I'm
that.
not having this argument again. Where do you want to go for dinner? Oh no, I'm not having this argument again. Okay, I know why you would say that. I do have a history of asking you where you want to go for dinner, only to then veto all your choices until we end up going where I want to go, but I'm trying to grow.
Good. Now, this I think is much more appropriate for multicam sitcom, Dia. So I'm really glad that you included this, because if you just sent that first one, I would have wanted to talk to you about pacing. It would have been like, you gave us very like realistic, very dramatic, pacing. Does it have enough energy for multicam sitcom? Probably not. Like multicam sitcom plays very close to playing like theater, and at least in the multicam sitcoms that I've auditioned in my city in Vancouver, where I've had a chance to talk to the actors who have spent years working on those. They've said, oh yeah, they couldn't find who they wanted, from the film and TV actors who were submitted, so they had to go to, start auditioning theater actors as well. Or the directors and producers would be in the room and they'd say like, play it to the back corners of the room. Like energy is much bigger because it's performed on a bigger stage and there are multiple cameras, and they are often playing scenes like theater. So you've got the same strong, clear opinions here, but they're more alive, and you're more alive and energetic here.
And I'm ready to show my growth by making it safe for you to say exactly where you want to go.
Right? Extra physicality.
Why would you say Chili's?
Because I want to eat that.
No, that's not it. I'm gonna put on my therapist hat here.
I didn't know you.
We're also getting both like fun physicality, which she's about to give us. And we're also getting strong contrasts. This feeling, okay, different feeling. In the first take of it, if I was to show you all the way through, those transitions are just smoother and smaller, which I think is more appropriate for drama than for a multicam sitcom.
I take it off all the time during my commute on New Year's
She
Eve.
tied the hat under her chin, the imaginary hat.
And I think,
right, like it's silly, but it's a multicam sitcom, and she's
testing me. You don't really want to go to Chili's. I think you picked a place you know I don't like.
Well, I know it's not your favorite, but you asked me.
Ken,
Right.
it's disgusting. It's where Applebee's customers go to cheat on their diets. Even the salads have herbs.
Right, strong opinion, like clear, like not afraid, to use her voice.
Fine, let's just go to Tony's.
Okay, now you're just saying Tyroni's because you know it's my favorite and you're trying to give me what I want.
Yes.
No, I'm trying to grow, Ken. Why won't you let me grow?
Okay, I want to go to Tyroni's not because it's your favorite, but because it's my favorite. And we haven't been there since the last time you made me go there. Please, I beg you, let's go to Tyroni's.
See, this is what I love about us. We can always talk these things through and reach a compromise.
What time is our reservation at Tyroni's?
7.
Right, and untying the imaginary hat from her head at the end of the conversation, weird, silly. It's multicam sitcom. Where like as long as we can see that it's the character performing this for her husband, like sort of doing, or for her partner, being like, I'm doing this silly thing, but also like there's something that I'm very insistent about, right? So we get big feelings about stupid stuff. So I think very good exploration idea. And I think that in terms of like, if you were doing something like this again, think about the style, like, I would recommend like leading with, or even sending only the one that is sort of most appropriate for the script. Something about multicam sitcom. And I just did a little bit of Googling first, and I found this page here. It's some screenwriting, but it gives us an example of, first episode of dramatic script. Okay, details. Look at the way the dialogue is spaced. Here, hello, anyone out there? See, single space dialogue, multicam sitcom. This is from Big Bang Theory. Double space dialogue. Okay. And so it's one way to just to look at any random page of script, and say, oh, okay, that's probably a multicam sitcom. And again, the folks who I know who've spent a lot of time working on them are like, oh, it's because you need to be able to write in all the reactions. Like, is that why? I don't know. I do know it is the convention for multicam sitcom to double space the dialogue. I only learned this fairly recently. So it's just a way to glance at a page, even if you don't say anything about the style, and go, oh, okay, I have a sense that this is going to be bigger or broader. I'm going to have to come in with stronger opinions, more physicality, and have permission to do some fun, silly stuff. I know. Naz, oh gosh, his whole monologue's about his name. But he signs off his emails with just NAZ. So who submitted a tape last week, watched the tape, said, okay, like, thank you for the notes, details. I just want to read you what he said. He said, it was really helpful. I've revised it to add what I consider to be a little bit more emotion. Please let me know if it's enough emotion or if it appears I'm still holding back. The original script was about struggle to pronounce names, and I just changed it to work with me and my name. You were spot on with the feedback of the performance seeming choreographed. Haha. I choreographed and rehearsed what kinds of facial expressions I would make and how my voice would sound. Do you think this is too technical, and should I loosen it up a little? And so he also said, feel free to share on YouTube and be as casting director critical as possible. So I'm not going to cut you down on purpose, but like, I thank you for the permission to give you the straight goods. I do genuinely want that, because you got to feedback when you are ready for feedback, I think is more relevant. So here's Naz's initial tape. And then here's the tape that he just sent.
Hi there, my name is Nazuku Owatu. Nazuku, from a book of African heroism. Owatu, from the Arabic word meaning strength. Nazuku Owatu, also the name given to me by my parents.
Good. So he wants the straight feedback. Like, he looks so interesting, and he's in medium close up, and he's well lit. This is a charismatic guy. And so the first thought is like, who is this? Like, I definitely want to see more of this. I don't know, man. Like the way he carries himself and the hair, and it's like here's somebody who like has a sense of himself, and he's bringing that just to the way that he presents. And so that interests me right away. In terms of the performance, yes, it seems choreographed. Yes, it seems choreographed and too slow, and too controlled. Right? Like, so I'm not getting a sense of who you are. What I would actually really love to see, Naz, if you decide to do this again, is like, put in 15 seconds of just you talking. Like, let me see like you talking to a friend and your friend just holding the cell phone, so that I can get a baseline of like, oh, that's what he's like, or that's what you're like when you're just hanging out. So that then we can compare that side by side with the act and go, okay, this is what you're like when you are thinking about your face and your voice, and it is slow and controlled. And we're just not seeing the person inside of that right now. That's my impulse. That's my sense. And maybe you are very slow and controlled when you just hang out with people. I'm curious about it. So I just showed everybody the first 17 seconds, which is probably as far as casting is going to get before they make some decisions. And honestly, they're in the first 5 seconds, they're going to be, oh, okay, like, I see what we're getting into here. Now they're seeing 30, 40, 50 more, certainly in Los Angeles, they're seeing hundreds of tapes for a single role. My strong suspicion is that they are making snap judgments in the first, say 10 seconds, and often only watching the first, like 20 of a tape. So I think those first 20 seconds are really important these days. I want you to see that, like, different outfit, but the delivery and the musicality, the sort of extended vowels and the slowness between this tape and the one that he sent me, where he's like, I made it different, almost identical.
Hi there. Hi there. My name is Nazuku Owatu. Nazuku, based on a book of African heroism. Owatu, name meaning strength in Arabic. Hi there, my name is Nazuku Gowatu. Nazuku, from a book of African heroism. Gowatu.
Right, so yeah, he added the smile. There's like a tiny bit more movement in it. But is there a strong feeling or opinion? Like, do I have a sense of like who he's talking to or what he wants to make them do or feel? No, it truly sounds like a storytelling piece. Like somebody who's like, children, sit down and let me tell you a story. Right, it's got that sort of slow, measured cadence to it, and it does change later on, right? So some things happen, here. It's instantly, Naz, one of the things to think about, and I hate to give a note like this, but it truly is something that stands out, is that when you start to get escalated, we do get some extra tension around your eyes, and this the white sort of all the way around your eyes is sort of a tell. For me, it's off. It's always my forehead. Right, so I just want to be super clear that like everybody's got to tell like I'm pointing out yours, but like this is mine. I'm like, yeah, I'm not tense at all. No, I just have these lines in my forehead all the time. No, I don't. It's only when something's going on that's like bringing extra tension into my body. So, but coming back, so that we can see some of this.
Embody the souls of others I constantly place somewhere else. So when I introduce myself, it is the only time I pronounce me.
Right, so listen to this and listen to the. So here it's starting to be alive. Here I'm like, oh, he's got a real opinion about this. Now, whether he chose that as part of the character or if this is his actual opinion about like, don't tell me that my name's too complicated. Right, so now he's talking at more of a actual conversational rhythm, and I'm hearing some of the opinion about the text. I'm still not clear on the way he wants the person he's talking to what he wants them to do or feel. So I think that's something to keep playing with and to keep adding. But I want to highlight this as an example of, like this. Here's what I'm talking about.
I embody the souls of others I constantly place somewhere else. So when I introduce myself, it is the only time I pronounce me. Nazuku Gowatu. Name which means heroism and strength.
So right, and it might be like, so the mind bending thing is like, we don't know about Nazuku's process, right? It might have been like years of practice to get to the point where he can be just like totally relaxed and still and focused, and that might have really taken like a lot of energy to get there. And so I don't want to dismiss any of the practice by saying, okay, and now, like here's the next thing to add, because you just don't know what practice it took to sort of get those foundational skills. The foundation is just so solid, though. I just want to see this guy like cut loose and play. Okay, I've already gone 15 minutes over, so let's see. I've got one more self-tape. Okay, you know what? Let's just look at it just real quickly, because it is Kashan's first time submitting something, and I want to make sure that we look at it, and then we can always look at it in more detail next time. So if some of you are fine staying around, I'm fine staying around. Here's Kashan's self-tape. Now this is the one that's got some spicy language. It's some kind of like gangster scene. There's also like some technical things with this tape that are going to be useful, I think, to deconstruct here at the very end. So I'll see if I can mute out some of the spicy language, but no guarantees.
Nice.
Right. So what we've got, so there's some eyelight, it's a nice clean background. He's a medium close up. He's got that little bit of nose room on the side that he's talking to. For whatever reason, the lighting here is just not super flattering. And I am not an expert on that, so I don't know what that is, but I do think that it is worth continuing to play with your lighting here, Kashan. And maybe it's because it's brighter on this side and we're getting this shadow on your face, or maybe you're using like a white light, and it's worth taking like a couple of sheets of paper and just like taping them over top, right? It doesn't have to be something fancy, but my strong suspicion is that if you found a way to warm up the color here a little bit, They would just be more flattering. That right away we'd be like, oh, who is this guy? He's more interesting. Because lighting will often just make the actor more beautiful. Like I said, people are like, ooh, and it's like, yeah, that's lighting.
Wasn't expecting your boy.
And this is where the other guys start like shouting at him.
He's indisposed. Indisposed. What you got? You got.
Now, one of the things here, Kashan, that is just like it's a technical fix, but your reader is quite a bit louder than you are. And so my suspicion is that means that your reader was standing closer to the phone, closer to the device than you were. So the nervousness is coming through here nice and clearly. But I end up listening to your reader more because they're louder and clearer than you are. You sound like you're far away, and it makes it more difficult to listen to you. Which I think will typically, because cognitive load is real, and if something's a little more difficult, it changes people's impression of it. Certainly, it changes mine listening to it. Where I'm like, what is he saying exactly?
Honey, I got it. Oh yeah? How'd you get that? It's none of your concern. How I got it. All 700. You can count it if you want. You got 700, but what about our pain and suffering, bro? Yeah, puto. What about it, huh? Our pain.
Right. So his reactions are really interesting, and if he was the loud one, and we weren't just like listening to these guys shout, then I just think the performance would pop a little more.
And suffering. I think you'll all be just fine.
Right. So the beautiful restraint there, like strong, clear feeling or opinion. He's like, and so the story I make out of it is, okay, the character wants to he doesn't want to sort of completely be a pushover here, but maybe that's dangerous for him. But also can't stand up to these guys because they're actively threatening him and they are dangerous. Right. So there's enough complexity there, that I'm making a whole story about it. So lighting and audio are sort of my biggest notes on this. And then from there, Kishan, I think it's just exploration. It's just like, okay, great. When you were running this, when you were taping it, did you try one where you went too far on purpose? Right? Did you play with behavior? Right? That thing of what is it that you've got there in the space that you could use to tell the story? Sometimes I'll give an actor something they can hold in their hands and just get them to twist it. Because just that body doing something, will often not only make somebody less self-conscious, but bring in all of this sort of extra subtlety because you're using your body to help tell the story. Would that make it better? I don't know.
Hey. Relax, bro.
Now, particularly for that, where the other character says relax, another thing that you could add to a scene like this, is like a bigger reaction, right? Like basically see the guy who you're talking to reach under the chair and think he's going for his gun and freak out, so that they can laugh at you and they can they can tell you to relax. Sure, something like that. Again, really solid foundation here. From here, this is where acting teachers love to get in, because you're just playing. You're just like, okay, well, what about this? Let's try and explore it in this way. Let's see if we can find something more to this reaction or that moment. But solid foundation.
It's all there. So it is. Good.
Right. I would also say that your reader is doing a character voice, which I strongly recommend that you never have your readers do, because it's distracting. Because we're like, wow, this person's really loving reading this other character, but they are having so much fun that they are not doing what a reader should do, which is being of service to the actor who is working. Right. We want all of our attention on Kashan right now.
Are we scared?
Right now, I very much doubt that, for instance, that a little stumble that is written into the script. So a perfect example, of an actor bringing something to life. If we held the script up, we might just say, are we square? And you wouldn't want to try and exactly duplicate his performance. But I pointed out for everybody watching as an example of just the way that actors can play within color lines, where we get the impression of what the character's feeling.
Zero. Hey, just don't let us catch you here again, Esse. Next time, money won't mean shit. You got that?
Eyelines are a little bit confusing. I'm not sure. First he was on one side, then he was on the other side, or maybe it's two different people, but this is the same reader, for both of them. Like tiny little points. So thanks for sticking around, so that we could look at Kishan's tape together. And thank you so much to all the people who submitted tapes this week. Holy cow! Please keep sending your tapes, and I will do my best to be efficient with them. And if I can't talk about them in detail here, then I will email you notes. So I will see some of you tomorrow. That's been today's lesson for my free acting class. Bye, everybody.
Bye, thank you. Great job.